Well, shalom, shalom, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online, of course. Where else? www.koshertorah.com. Well, it is the 1st of September. I have to look at my little calendar there on the side, know exactly where and when I am. 1st of September, 2019. We've just passed Rosh Elul. So, in our Sephardi tradition, it is time for Slichot. Meradam. Ma lecha nirdam kum kara b'tahanunim. What's all that mean? Go talk to your local Sephardi rabbi. He'll tell you. But anyway, let's get back to business here. It is a tradition amongst certain schools of the Kabbalah to study the Tikunei Zohar during this time of Elul. Elul, as you know, is 1 month countdown to Rosh HaShana. And in my Tishrei lessons, which is an ebook that I have, I'm going to put it out online, put in all the emails and stuff with those of you who want to get a copy. I have all the Kabbalistic essays, explaining the meanings of the holidays and everything else. But in brief, just to put this time into a context, astrologically speaking, let's just take even a step back so I can define what is and what is not astrology. Number one, we really, really do not believe in fortune telling. So even if you look into the stars, they're not going to tell you definitive things. Anybody who's a real good astrologer will tell you that. But what it does tell you are potentials, because everything in reality is interactive energies. Energy is energy is energy, and that's just the way it is. So, as we know, in spite of certain groups who are a little, I won't mention, who are still geocentric to this day because of a misunderstanding, a perversion of trying to understand Maimonidean teachings as Torah, when actually all he was quoting was ancient Greek and Roman, science of the day. But anyway, long story short, as the Earth rotates around the sun, yeah, it does. It's not the other way around. We, travel in space and obviously in time. And it's something the Sefer Yetzirah introduces us to. There's that third dimension, the real 3D, is actually what we call mind or consciousness. So you have Olam Shana, Nefesh, time, space, consciousness. So as our Earth is going around space like this, and our sun is going around the big arms of the Milky Way like that, we become subject to influences of all kinds of cosmic radiation. Science knows it's there. They can detect that it bombards our planet at all times. What science does not pick up on is the, if you will, third level, that third dimension of consciousness, or if you will, the psychic or spiritual or psychological influences these cosmic energy fields, forces have on our energy fields. That is how and where, if you will, astrology works. It's all a matter of interactive energies. Now, any of you who have ever really dabbled in the martial arts, not just punch kick stuff, but real energy work, Tai Chi Chuan, Bagua Chuan, Qigong, anything where you have to really become sensitive to the flow of energy. There's all different kinds of energy. In our Torah tradition, we refer to them as the levels of soul, Naran Hai. Life force energy, which imbues the earth, the force, if you will, that's what we call nefesh. It's in the blood. It's what the Chinese call chi. In the Indian, they call it prana. Wilhelm Reich discovered it and cost him his life. He called it orgone. Right? It's all the same stuff, and it's real. There are those who were long, long before us who developed all their technology, built their technology on this energy field. We're just picking up on our understandings of these things today. But we have to, again, recognize, like in the Matrix, everything's energy, just like, the codes and all that stuff going down in the movie. Well, no, we're not really batteries of a big machine and stuff like that, but we are living in a delusionary world. This is not the reality of things. Energy is the reality. So as our planet is moving, floating around, going around doing all this stuff, it becomes bombarded by all this energy, which obviously affects the planet physically, obviously moves us through time, and has its influence psychologically, spiritual, psychically, as you will. That is the energy and the influence of which I'm speaking about here. So what happens now on Rosh HaShana? Okay, pretty simple as it's taught. And again, I cover all of this in the Tishrei lessons in detail. Again, I will have the ebook available through the website, through my emails and everything else. I'll put it here on Facebook and everything else. For those of you who want to pick up a copy, you just click a button, you get it, and I send it out to you. It's really that simple. But as the human race, and this is exactly what we're going to be talking about here, all right? We're going to learn the Tikunei Zohar. And we're going to learn the foundation material of a lot of what I'm going to be talking to you about right now. For those of you who have your questions, I am not taking questions at this time. We will stop at the end of the class, and I'll take all your questions at that time. Okay, so please don't ask your questions now. Remember, an old man here. I got to read with my reading glasses, which I don't have on now, so I'm not going to bother. But getting back to the point, when we understand who and what and where and why is our humanity, all right? This gets into a lot of material that I discussed in my book, Aliens, Angels, and Demons, that we, the human race, we're not the first indigenous race of intelligent beings to have developed on this planet. Should I use the word evolved? All right? People don't like that word evolved because the secularists try to say, well, evolution happened all by itself without any guidance for no reason whatsoever. Gosh, you want to talk about a religious faith that's really hard to swallow? Atheism probably is the most ridiculous and foolish, in my opinion, of all religious faiths. It absolutely defies logic in every shape and form. But since when does faith have to succumb to the laws of logic, right? Whatever. But anyway, we understand that there were other races here on Earth. There was the great, intelligent, technologically advanced civilization prior to our own. In our legends, we refer to it as by all different names, Atlantis, Lemuria, and the like. And yeah, it was legit. Yeah, it was true. And it's a point that I made in my book, Aliens, Angels, and Demons. Let's be blunt. Though the Torah doesn't say it, the Torah doesn't imply it. Noah, remember the guy? We call ourselves B'nai Noah. He's the guy who built that big old boat. Well, we all know he landed on Mount Ararat. Where do you think he took off from? No one bothers to ever ask that question. You say, well, Mesopotamia. How the heck do you know? Because ultimately, wherever it was, the entire part of the world in those days was of the empiric culture of that which we call today Atlantis. Technically speaking, Noah was an Atlantean. But that civilization goes long back before Adam. In those civilizations, that Atlantean, great, long lost time, well, they had their fault. They had their problems. They came into cosmic energy fields, which in essence changed the fundamentals of their entire society. And these are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom prior to there being a king in Israel. They collapsed, they fell. They were a matriarchal society, and a matriarchal society without balance with the male, yin and the yang, collapsed and fell. We'll talk about that in our Tikunei Zohar as we proceed. Well, rectification needed to be done. And I wrote about this in my disclosure essays as well, because ultimately, the pre-Adamic civilization wanted to rectify themselves. They don't want help from outside. But that power, which we call God, thought otherwise and brought an external force to this world. That external force was the souls called Adam, the Adamic race, us. We came here. I'm not going to get into the whole issue of what happened in the Garden of Eden and all this stuff, but we got stuck in these physical Homo sapien forms, which is not our indigenous form. In the words of good old Master Yoda, luminescent beings are we, not this crude matter. And as such, recognize and understand, and this is something we all know, anybody who's religious, spiritual, regardless of our culture background, we know physical body, physical world, it comes and goes. For those of you who don't know, in the past few weeks, I've had deaths of two very close people, one a family member and one a very, very dear friend. And of course, I dedicate these classes in the loving memory of a very dear friend, Isidro Chavez, and also in loving memory of my uncle, Yosef ben Abraham. and Rosh HaShana, I had back-to-back funerals all within a week. So wow, it was one of those times. But anyway, getting back to our point here, the Adamic race came to Earth, and being that it was foreigners, that's the way they refer to people down here, back in Knoxville, back in Tennessee. And if you're from up north, you're a foreigner, all right? You're a Yankee. And if you stay here long enough, then you get to be called a damn Yankee. So for those who are down south here, you ask, well, what's the difference between a Yankee and a damn Yankee? And they'll tell you down here, a Yankee comes, but at least he goes home. Damn Yankee comes here and stays. So, damn Yankees, what can I say? But anyway, the reason why we're here in Knoxville is due to the influence of our dear new Rabbanit Elisheva. She came down when I was in the office one night. She says, we're going to Knoxville. I mean, we were all over the country looking for places. We're going to Knoxville. And as we came to Knoxville, called ahead to my friends and found out that my dear friend, of course, was rushed to the emergency room and had an unfortunate cardiac arrest, and well, the rest was that. But anyway, a good man. And he goes, well, you know what? On human terms, we say he's no longer with us, but that's not true. You see, this is the whole point. We talk about the Adamic souls that I'm getting at now. See, the Adamic souls that came to this earth are not in the indigenous physical form. We come and we go. That's what got me talking about the life and death stuff here. But this is what you need to understand. That who and what we truly are is in a harmonic or disharmonic relationship with where we're at in the physical world. Energy needs to be balanced. Think of it, if you will, like a mathematical formula, with the equal sign in the middle. The sides of the equations have to be balanced. 1 + 1 cannot equal 256. Just is not equal. They have to be balanced. Everything in the universe is a matter of balance. It's the laws of nature, right? You might not like the laws of nature. You might want to change the laws of nature. But you want to know something? Until you're in a position of being godlike, you can change the laws of nature. I didn't say circumvent them, right? We use all kinds of technology which actually work in with nature, but we never break the laws of nature. So you see, that part of us which is in this physical form right now has its own energy modulation. Again, Torah language, we call it nefesh. But the real true essence, that's the Adamic essence which came into here, it's our true identity and self, that's what we call neshama in our Kabbalah speak language. Well, there's a congruity that's required between these energy fields that need to be balanced. Our energy fields, our Adamic essence, came to this earth at that time when the earth was passing through the Libra cosmic field. That's why Libra is the sign of the scales, balance, right? Moznaim. And that's why it's the sign of Rosh HaShana, the beginning of the year. We're the only ones that I know of that doesn't measure New Year at the first day of the month. Our months are measured from Nisan, and our years are measured from Tishrei, because the Adamic souls came down in Tishrei. That's, if you will, our birth time, the time we chart, if you will, the chart, plot the chart of the Adamic race, future and stuff. This is why we say Rosh HaShana is not a Jewish holiday. It's an cosmic experience for all life. And what we endeavor to do, instead of trying to get you ritualistically involved with Judaism, which is fine if you so choose it, but it's not really relevant, right? We say, the matronita and the shivcha, and I'm making a subtle reference to things from the Kabbalah, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But my point is, you have to focus on the energetic balance. That is what we call return. The Hebrew word is teshuvah, right? Not repentance, meaning you become more ethnically religious. Trust me. Becoming Eastern European in your identity is a costume no different from anything you will wear on Halloween or Purim. There's absolutely nothing special, sacred, holy about that other than what a person believes in and of themselves. Okay? Don't think that that semblance of identity acquires for you some elevation spiritually, because it just doesn't. It's an ethnic thing. You feel, those who absorb the ethnicity feel that they are absorbed into a group, and you become like group think, and that lessens the individual consciousness as it absorbs into the group think, and therefore the person feels greater than oneself. That's why they do it. Well, it's true in our circles. It's true in every other circle. It's true in the good guys and the bad guys. So it's not the way we should be doing things. If you are of Eastern European ethnic identity, that's the way you're born and raised and stuff like that, well, cool. Be who you are. You shouldn't be anything else other than who you are. But anyone who is not of that ethnic identity shouldn't associate that ethnic identity with anything other than ethnicity and culture. What is real teshuvah? Real teshuvah, like I said, is balance. Getting back to nature. In the Torah, remember the Torah as we have it is a coded book. Most people don't get that stuff. And we know that the word for God used in the creation story is just the name Elohim. It's plural. Yeah, it's plural, I know. It doesn't mean gods. What it means is the power and force that be, or the power and force of nature. Yeah. Elohim, Gematria, Hateva, which is the Hebrew word for nature. That's the ultimate source of things. And yet our proclamation on Yom Kippur is Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Hu HaElohim. Right? Yud Kei Vav Kei is a higher level of understanding. Just like, remember we said that force level of energy, which we call nefesh. Well, the force or the power behind that's the name Elohim. But then we had that Adamic essence we call our neshama. Well, that's the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. That higher self, lower self, balance, Shem Hu Elohim. Go into my Tishrei lessons, write all about this stuff. But anyway, understand that our need for teshuvah, return, repentance, if you will like the religious word, means a return to your true, ultimate, higher self. Alignment, balance, harmony. Can you do that within the context of religion? Yeah, you can if you understand religion properly. Can you do that outside the context of religion? Yeah, of course. Religion really doesn't play much of a part of it. It's a matter of morals and values. I mean, if you read what Yud Kei Vav Kei talks about throughout the Torah and the prophets, what does God want from us? He wants us to be ritually pure and do all this stuff. No, it's not what it says. He wants us to act decently, morally, righteously, all that like human stuff. Learning how we are a concentric whole. At one time, for those of you, I'm sure everybody knows where we're at today in our society. Our society today is so bankrupt, so corrupted, so disrupted. Remember the old saying, united we stand and divided we fall? Yeah, we're really divided right now, big time. Not only between conservative and liberal political philosophies, but between religious, secular, between this group, that group, everybody. And the creation of our technologies now, the cell phones and everything, isolates the individual more and more and more, so that it's like the individual against the entire world. And everybody is divided. Everybody's broken. Very, very unnatural state. It's not going to have a good, ending to it. But that's just the way it is. What can I say? Anyway, getting back to the point. If we really want to understand, we have to find that source of balance within oneself. And as such, recognize, like we say, Malokula Aretz Kavodo, the whole world is full of God's glory. And as such, find our place in the whole. So in order to help us get along with this stuff, I want to do the old tradition of learning the Tikunei Zohar. So giving you a good introduction into stuff. I've laid down foundations for you. So As I read, okay, I will read a section at a time. And then as I finish with the individual section, we'll talk about it. All right. I have here, I'll show you the version of the Tikunei Zohar I have. This is my oldie but goodie. You can see it there in camera. I got to do it opposite. There we go. This is the version that has the Hebrew translation. I read. I'm not a big, one who says you have to read it out loud and stuff because the words are sacred and they vibrate energy. I said, well, that's true. Yeah, probably, if you're properly, mentally calibrated for it, which most people aren't. I actually sometimes am, but I don't really pay attention. I am more focused on the essence more than anything else. So I just want to read to you. Like I said, the section, probably just going to read the Hebrew because it's just easier. All right. Yeah, I could read to you the original Aramaic, but like I said, I'm lazy. I confess. I just go into the original Hebrew. That's why it's here. So it works for me. All right. Tikun Shishim Vesheva, the 67th Tikun of the Tikunei Zohar begins like this. Bereshit bara Elohim. In the beginning, God created. Remember, the Tikunei Zohar is a section of Zoharic literature, which is novellic by nature, not historical, and it is completely separate from and distant from and different from all the different sections and parts of the other Zohar. That's why it's the books, plural, of the Zohar, as opposed to just an individual book. So the Tikkunim is 70 different sections. I don't know if I call them chapters. They're called Tikkunim. Some short, some very, very long. And they deal with a whole bunch of different stuff that the body of the regular Zohar really sometimes doesn't dabble in. So Tikunei Zohar is very, very important. I have seen that some people are making efforts now to try to translate it without actually examining the translations. I can't comment on them, and I'll tell you why. Because it's not enough that you just translate the words of a text. You got to make sure you understand the nuance of the text and the intent of the text so that you're actually translating it correctly. It's easy just to translate a word, but if you don't get its essence, then all the words will not make any sense. I'm going to try to make sense of everything we got here. So, in the beginning, God created. Ze Metatron. This refers to Metatron. Shebara kadosh baruch hu kadmon v'reshit l'kol tzava hashamayim shelamata. Who God, the Holy One, blessed be He, created before and the beginning, before all the hosts of heaven that are below. V'zehu Adam HaKatan. And this is the man, the small man, Adam HaKatan. Shakadosh baruch hu oseh oto b'diukan v'tziur shelamala b'li irabuba. That the Holy One, blessed be He, made in the image and the form of that which is above, without any kind of irabuba, mixture. V'alav ne'emar, and related to this is written, Totzi ha'aretz nefesh chaya lemina. Let the land give rise to the living soul according to its type or its species. V'hu etz pri, oseh pri lemino. This is the fruit of the tree that gives rise to the fruit according to its, again, species. V'komo shelamala, and this is how it is above. Oi mi she'oseh irabuva lamala ulamata. And woe be to the one who will make a mixture of that which is above and that which is below. Shezehu ilan shel irabuva. This then becomes the tree of the mixture. Irabuva me'etz hamavet. This is the mixture of the tree of death. Mishum kach nikra mate. And that's why it is called the staff. Shemitafech lenachash, that turns into a serpent. Lahalkot bo rashaim, so as to strike or punish the wicked. Mihu shofechoto, and who is the one who turns it from one to the other? Hakadosh baruch hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, shosholet alav, who rules and dominates over it. And that is how we hold. Boy, oh boys, there are a lot here to discuss. And that's what we're going to do right now. In the beginning, God created. What did God create? God created Metatron. Who and what is Metatron? You can read about the stories that Enoch went above and was translated into Metatron. That's the popular story. But yet, we have ancient legends that tell us that Metatron was at God's side during the time of the creation. No, God, Metatron's not God's son. He's not a pre-incarnate Yeshu or anything of the kind, even though that is what some believed in the first century, and I wrote about that in my discussions of Christianity. But look, let's just stay focused. The Metatron are actually not an individual, but a race. This is the Adamic race, the Adamic souls of which we've been speaking about. We say that even though human beings, Homo sapiens sapien on this physical world, and even the earlier civilizations obviously came billions of years after creation, but the souls, the neshamot, they were before creation. They are indigenous to a higher dimensional plane, which in Kabbalah speak we call Beriah, which is that dimensional plane which is above the dual realities of space, time, consciousness in which we presently exist. So these Adamic souls are referred to together as Metatron. Metatron is just a name. It's not a holy name. It's actually, I think it's Greek in origin. Metator, if I'm not mistaken, from someplace I read, which means like a guardian or something like that. Well, it says in the Zohar, the regular body of the Zohar, in Parshat Eket Daf Reish Ayin Gimel, I think it's Amud Aleph, Kucha Berechu Yisrael V'Oraita Kulan Had, that Hashem, the souls of who we refer to, which we call symbolically Israel. It doesn't say Jewish, just Israel, higher levels of soul, the enlightened souls, if you will. And the Torah, all one and the same. That's why you could say, like when the Christians say in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Well, that's a Jewish concept. And that Word of God, of course, is the Torah. But we're not going to get into anti-Christian or missionary stuff. We don't want to offend, insult anybody. You know, that's not our role here. We're here to build bridges, not burn them. But anyway, we discuss a lot of this stuff in the lessons about Christianity. Again, one of our free audio library, and you can pick up stuff there. Metatron, according to the Emek HaMelech, writes very clearly in his lessons on the world of Yetzirah, volume 2 of the book, I have anyway, volume 2, that when the Adamic race was to come to earth, not all souls ate of what's called the tree of knowledge, good and evil. Some stayed above. Those that stayed above became known as the guardians, the watchers above of the human race. They became the Metatron race. They are our higher selves. Now, understand the relationship between a higher self and a lower self. You're never really two. You're only really one. You're not really disconnected. You're just unaware. So for example, we have, of course, our unconscious minds, right? It's like the whole big piece of the iceberg, which is under the water. You don't see it, but it's there nevertheless. And it's got big jutting, ragged thing that you run the boat over, could rip out your hull and, sink you. Well, that's what the unconscious is like. It has a whole bunch of stuff in it. That's the domain for our, what we call higher self, with our neshama, the level of soul. Well, that is our, unquote, higher self. Jung uses the term higher self in psychology. And the lower self, think of the relationship of the two, like if you have the whole body and the nephesh, which is the lower part, which is us and our present human identity here on earth, kind of like your foot or your feet. Your feet have a mind of their own. The way some of us walk. Sometimes we wonder, tripping over our own feet, but no, not really. And if our feet were to think that they themselves were in control of the entire movement of things, and there is no higher body, there's nothing above the ankle, all of that is myth and fantasy, just the feet. Well, you and I thinking, from our heads down, we'd say, I think our feet are a little bit screwed up. But how many of us think like that? We're disconnected from viewing, interacting with, and experiencing our higher reality. Well, all of our courses of meditation, the Ma'aseh Merkavah, and everything is, of course, designed to gear towards realignment of this lost identity. This is why these types of learning is universal. It's for everybody. It's not just for anyone. Like the Tana Nevel Yahu, taught to us in the name of none less than Elijah the prophet. Man or woman, Jewish or Gentile, free person or slave. Think of that, I guess, as your economic status in life. Everybody can receive Ruach HaKodesh, meaning divine inspiration, or the spirit of prophecy. Spirit of prophecy does not mean that, God's going to talk to you, go out and speak to my world. No. As Rambam would elaborate in the Moreh Nebuchim, Guide to the Perplexed, which is the way of prophecy. It's actually one of the courses I'm going to be offering at a discounted price for this month of Elul. It's very, very important for you guys to access that and learn it. He calls it the development of the mind. Today we would call it development of psychic powers. That's not making you a superhuman. It's only making you a normal human, getting you back in touch, reconnected. This teshuvah. The only real and pure teshuvah is the psychic development of the extrasensory perceptive abilities of the mind, expanding consciousness. That's it, right then and there. Leave religion out of it. Focus on that alone. So, in the beginning, God created. First, we had Metatron, the higher race. What's the relationship of that to God? Well, remember, God's not a little old man sitting on a cloud somewhere, hanging out there. No, God is the force. We shouldn't even personify God. It's, in my opinion, one of the biggest things religion doesn't get right, in which it reflects God as being our Father, our King, like our prayers, Avinu Malkeinu, and we personify God. And in that respect, Judaism is not that very far away from what Christianity does in personifying God in Yeshua. Oh my God, did I realize what I just said? Yeah, I do. Okay? We personify God, and we look at God as some kind of a big cosmic supernatural Santa Claus. What do we approach God for? Well, we want things from God, right? Dear God, give me this, give me that. Give me. Isn't it like the lists we write for Santa Claus? And we try to bribe God. If you ever pay attention to the way we interact, right? God, if you do this for me, I'll be good, or I'll do this for you. God, if you give me the winning numbers of the lottery, I'll give not only 10%, I'll give 15% to charity. Well, whatever, right? We all think that we know what's best, right? That we could go up to heaven, I'll give God a piece of my mind. Let me tell him, I'll show God how to run a universe, right? What the heck does he know sitting up there so far? I'll show him how to run a universe. Now, he said, it's blasphemy talk. That is, by religious standards, yeah, it is. And I'm being facetious. And no one that I know will say, yeah, that's the way I believe. But deep down, when you really analyze the way some people really feel, that is what they believe, even though they don't admit it to themselves. Not good. No, it's not. You can't fight nature. You have to understand the natural way. And if you say, well, I'm going to stand against it, I'm going to do this, well, do whatever you want. You really think you're going to change nature? Go for it. You'll learn, and you'll get in balance. It might take a lifetime or 2 or 10 or 100 or 1,000. It might take you 1,000,000 years before you get balanced. But one way or another, you will. The life of the universe, what's 1,000,000 years? What's 1,000,000 lifetimes? Who cares? If that's the way you want to spend eternity, as the Ashkenazim would say, go, God bless. Go reincarnate 1,000,000 times. Make all your mistakes over and over again. That's just fine. Because in the end, another 1,000,000,000 years or 2 or 3 or 4, right? Who's going to remember anyway? But just in case you don't want to waste time, this is why we focus and do what we do. Okay? This is the Metatron. And this Metatron is the highest because it's outside of the space and time continuum as we know it. That's why our human souls are of a level of consciousness higher than even those other races, who we call the Malachim. And the Malachim, of course, include many of those who today we know as extraterrestrials. Now, many of these good old extraterrestrials, certainly the pre-Adamic civilizations, they have technologies far beyond ours. All right. If we were ever going to get into a battle of Earth versus the flying saucer kind of stuff, they're not going to zap us with ray guns. They don't have to. They can just send electromagnetic forces, cosmic forces against the Earth that could, like that, shut down the cerebral cortex of every brain of every living soul on the planet. Right? It's no contest. There's nothing. They influence the mind. They can influence everything, just like the Watchers, Daniel. Right? They're in a completely different dimensional reality with powers and abilities far beyond that of mortal men. And when you learn the Masa Merkaba and you ascend above, you interact with these guys, you kind of get a feeling who, what they are. You understand these things. All right. That's why I've been offering for months now all my meditation courses. We'll offer some of these again. You know, it's Elul time. You know, hard time running a yeshiva because, you know, I always have to make that balance between getting the word out, teaching and educating, and making a living. I only wish that it would be natural that I could go out and pick money off the money tree out in the backyard. But unfortunately, I don't have money tree seeds. So we got to run, you know, a yeshiva like a business and, you know, charge for things and stuff like that. And some people are turned off by that. You know, too bad. I guess that's your karma. But ultimately, you got to live and learn. So we have a balance there. And that's hopefully what we'll all endeavor to acquire. Now, the higher self of which we speak, the Metatron souls, which is our higher self, above and beyond this physical universe. That's why it says that they were made first and foremost. And this is called Adam Katan, the small man. What's the big man? Well, the word Adam, and we'll cover this later in the Tikunei. Adam in Hebrew is Aleph Dalet Mem, numerical value, 45. When you take the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei and you spell it out in a certain way, it's also a numerical value of 45. And we say that this is the face of Yud Kei Vav Kei, or the small face of God, not the long face, not the big face, not the ultimate face, the small face. That part which humanity experiences above. We call that Ze'er Anpin, small face, represented by the name of God, which is spelled out, numerical value of 45, same thing as the name of Adam. So you have Adam above and Adam below. The Adamic souls are the Adam below. But we're in these physical bodies. Where does that make us? Well, our higher selves are the lower Adam. Who are we? We're even lower than that. That's why we're at where we're at. And whether or not we can call ourselves human these days, well, in light of modern circumstances, I kind of wonder myself. But okay, it says here that our higher selves, called this Metatron, this lower man, if you will, God, the Holy One, blessed be He, made an image in the form of that which is above without any type of mixture. Irabuba. Irabuba means like an impurity, mixing things that don't belong together. How many of you know anything about chemistry? Right? What happens when you put together certain types of chemicals that don't belong together? Boom! Big explosion. Right? That's what an explosion is. Well, that's what happens with psychic energy. When you have certain attributes of actions or emotions or thoughts which don't belong together, you have an internal explosion within the individual, causing all kinds of internal disruption and destruction. Yeah, now we're starting to understand, you know, the importance of this teshuvah of which we've been talking about. Originally, when we say we were made pure, Elohai, Neshama, Shinatatabi, Tehorah, the soul, my God, that you place within me is Tehorah, pure. Understand pure as being natural, in proper energetic balance and alignment with a natural order. That is what it means to be pure without irabuva. But what happens is this. You have the laws and ways of nature and what it's supposed to be by the higher realm. And then we have the ways and means of how things are here on earth. The ways and means of things here on earth with a lower level of consciousness vibration mixes things up, screws things up terribly. And that's why this world is called impure, because it has an unnatural combination of things which by definition cannot sustain itself. So the higher image is the pure image, the proper image, the correct and true form, the ideal. In Kabbalah speak, we call this Atzilut. In earlier philosophical literature, Neoplatonism, Platonism, even Plato himself spoke about this greater ideal. Same thing, the identical actual teaching for that matter. So when we were made in this way, we were told to always be in proper alignment with that higher form. So that's why it says here that the land gave forth the soul of life according to its species, le'mina, meaning everything was pure and proper. Nothing got mixed together that didn't belong. And that's why it says that it made fruit, that, you know, that a fruit tree that produces fruit of its kind, not a forbidden mixture of things. What is forbidden mixtures today? All kinds of combinations of emotional things that lead to our emotional imbalances, all kinds of behavioral, inappropriate behaviors, which lead to all kinds of troubles in life. All the, confused thoughts that we have, imbalanced emotions, improper actions, those are the imbalances, the iravuva of which we speak. So we say here that one who makes the mixture of that which is above and below creates what we call the tree of this forbidden mixture, or the tree of death. Now, why would a forbidden mixture bring death? Well, remember, things are meant to be balanced. And when things are not balanced in proper alignment and harmony, an imbalance just collapses in and on itself. There's nothing personal here. There's nothing religious. It's not reward and punishment. It's not good and evil. It's just nature. Certain things just are the way they are because that is the natural order of things. And if we endeavor to try to take the lower order of things and justify it and establish it, which is what we're doing today in our society, this mixture of iravuva, this trying to take lower values which are by definition imbalanced and redefining them as the new definition of balance. That's a problem. Whenever we take the state of imbalance and redefine it as balance, that's what the Zohar is referring to here as taking the iravuva, the forbidden mixture, the impurity from below, and like imposing it on high. This is why it's called the tree of death. And this is why it's called the staff of Moses, right? That turns into the serpent to beat the wicked. And who's the one who turns it? It says, this is God. Remember the old staff of Moses? Moses had it in his hand. Remember something about Moses in Egypt. And this is a point made by Rabbi Ben Amozeg in his book, Israel and Humanity, another vital, important course, which I'm going to be offering at a discount here. I'm going to be offering a couple of them during this month of Elul. It should not surprise us at all that there was good in the Egyptian culture, which was embraced by Moses and incorporated into our Torah traditions. There are many, many things in our Torah which we consider uniquely Jewish, which are originally Egyptian. One of which, clearly, is circumcision. All the Egyptian priests were circumcised. And how curious that only after Abraham came out of Egypt did God tell him to be circumcised. Oh, he became like the Egyptian priests. So it says that he learned a lot of wisdom in Egypt. Moses was born and raised in the Egyptian household. He knew a lot of the secret religions, the secrets of old Egyptian religion. And he brought that out and incorporated it as the foundation of our Torah faith. And according to legend, a lot of Egyptian spiritual teachings had their origins in the pre-Adamic civilization, which we call Atlantis. So you have Atlantean teachings, which were passed down into Egypt and adopted by Moses and became the foundation of our Torah. Our Torah is a true expression of one school of Atlantean spirituality. Go check that one. It's true, it really is. But okay, I've given you enough to think about with regards to this concept of balance and imbalance. Continuing in the story, we're only going to talk for another maybe 5 minutes, and I'll take your questions at that time. Amal of Rabbi Eliezer. So Rabbi Eliezer, now son of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, asks Daddy, Abba, כיוון שהקדוש ברוך הוא היה יודע שהאילן הזה היה עתיד לקרוא מיתה לאדם, או לכל הבריות, right? מדוע ברא אותו? Being that God knew that this irabuba, this mixture, it was going to happen. The tree of knowledge, the fall, it was going to happen. Why did God allow the human souls to come down here in the first place? Why allow this with everything that happened? Since it brought death to the world. How does it bring death to the world? Remember, everything in reality is defined by perception. Remember good old quantum physics? What you see is what you get. Just the other day, I was talking to someone who was full of negative thoughts. Oh, every word coming out of this person's mouth. Don't like this, don't like this. And you know something? Negativity in your mind, in your heart, and in your words are going to create the negativity which you seek. You have to be positive. Like the Baal Shem Tov taught in Amudah Tefillah, where you think is where you're at. I don't care what your situation is. I don't care how bad it is or how good it is. You make it good by your attitude. Gamzu l'tova, as we say. This too is for good. And you can turn anything, everything around by a matter of attitude, perception, quantum reality, quantum consciousness. That is the power in our hands from our higher Metatron nature. So, what's it all about? Rabbi Eliezer asks Rabbi Shimon. And he goes, why are we here? And he says, why would God even create man knowing what was going to happen? And Marlo, he said, Beni, my son, that image above of which we spoke would not be complete until human beings or the Adamic souls could take on forms here in this world. Shekach haya adam shelamala shelamata, right? With relationship to above to below. And this is setting the foundation. Como haneshama legabe haguf, the relationship of like the soul to the body. Just like you have no actual physical activity performed of the soul other than through the body. That's why that image, that essence, that power above needed to materialize into this physical world here. So that by the form of our actions, we interact in this universe to make a difference. I'll explain this concept and then we'll take your questions. Think of the concept of closeness. There's two definitions of being close. If two people are similar to one another, you hold the same ideas, you hold the same beliefs, the same values, then regardless of where you are, even in the physical universe, you could be a million light years away. It doesn't matter. You are close because your thoughts, ideas, values, views are identical or the same, right? You're close. But now apply that same action to someone who's very, very different. You think in opposite ways. You have opposite values. You have opposite thoughts. You're a million miles apart, as they say. And I could take those two people, put them in the same room together. Trump lovers, Trump haters. Put them in the same room together, right? You're physically close, but you're a million miles apart. So you have two different aspects and views of proximity, one by similarity and one by physicality. Well, if we have realities in the higher domains which are so opposite, and we want to create unity, integration, how do you do it? How do I take that which is on the right and that which is on the left to opposite and bring them together? Again, let's use the relevant example today in our society. People who love President Trump and people who hate President Trump, okay? How can I build a meeting of the minds? How do I do it? If we were speaking energetically, the people who support the president would be on one side of the universe, the people who are against the president would be the opposite side of the universe, and never the twain shall meet. But if I want to bring unity, I got to bring them together. So I have to create a completely independent reality called physicality. So the opposites can take on a form through which they can meet, interact, integrate, and bring union or yichud. That's the great secret of what physicality is all about. Hold on a second. Mark where we're at in our book here. There we go. So that's this whole point here, why we needed to come to this world. We had to revive. We had to bring together the old school. The pre-Adamic civilization was an imbalanced society. It was a matriarchal world in which the male had absolutely no role. So the male and the female, the yin and the yang, the ma and the ben, had to learn to be a concentric whole. And that's why we have our universe today. Okay, on that note, let's stop here, and God be willing, we're going to continue learning the Tikunei Zohar, Be'ezrat Hashem, God be willing, in this time slot on Sunday evenings at 9 o'clock. I hope and pray for the remainder of Elul. I'm going to try, with the permission of my Rabbanit, to get in a second class during the week. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. We'll continue and have these lessons. I intend to make them available for free online through YouTube, Facebook, our Patreon page, and everything else. And again, I turn to you, our KosherTorah audience. Hey, it's Elul time. You got to give back. It's time to give your support, for our KosherTorah school. Consider becoming part and parcel of our school, become a member at the $50 a month donation level, get access to our private classes and everything else that we do, and help us do what we need to do. So on that note, now, my good old reading glasses here, I'm going to turn and look to see if anybody has any questions, and let's see what you got. Okay. If you have no questions, hey, he's an old friend of mine. All right, Rabbi Mesa has honored me with his presence. Shalom Aleichem, stranger. Haven't seen you in a long time. Rabbi Mesa is a very, very interesting fellow. We actually had a very nice conversation once because he, like me, whether he knows it or not, we're both rationalists, both of the rational school. And in that respect, again, for me, any and all kinds of mysticism, if it is not an understanding of the psychological interdynamics of our human reality, and that's not really what it's all about. And if you want to get into our historical Judaism, no, it really wasn't like that at all. Our historical Judaism in the olden days is a very, very different school. And again, everything that I've been sharing now is in the context of a certain school of our Torah. There are other schools as well, and you got to respect and understand them. You really have to be an appropriate, eclectic, all-school understanding of all the different schools of knowledge here. And again, in my opinion, I think the greatest, if you will, secrets of the Torah are found in Maimonides' Guide to the Perplexed. Of course, the Zohar is part and parcel of our Jewish world today, but I am very clearly of the school that believes it to be of a novellic origin as opposed to historical one. I know a lot of people don't like that view of things, but what can I tell you? All right, questions, criticisms, complaints, now's your time. I see everybody here is joined. I see everybody offering nice comments. Thank you. Hope your move was trouble-free. Really? Is any move ever trouble-free? Ha, ha, ha. Okay, that's it. So let's see. Will I be giving a class on the Amud energy meditation anytime soon? Let me just tell you something about meditation in general. Meditation is not mystical magic. Meditation is learning the expanded powers of the human mind. It's psychological. Yeah, I believe that there is enough scientific evidence to validate now that we do know that there is far more power and ability to our human minds than what we give it credit. Our Torah and our sages have always spoken about that. Maimonides has amongst all the other meditators throughout all of our long Torah history. In that respect, any and all forms of meditation can work. It's not only just meditating on holy names and sitting in quiet or in this position or that position, whatever works for you. For some people, they like listening to loud rock and roll music. They sing at the top of their lungs and they jump and dance. Some of the Hasidim did that. David HaMelech did that. This is what the old prophets did. They used to have music and stuff like that. Hey, whatever works to help you as an individual become more aware. Just remember something about meditation. Don't expect to start having visions of angels and Merkabahs and Seraphim. Remember a very important psychological point. I believe Erich Neumann, the famous psychologist, made this point in one of his writings. I don't remember exactly where. I have it from one of my old quadrant journals from my Jungian days. He says, 3,000 years ago, 2,500 years, whatever, Ezekiel saw the, in quote, Merkabah within the context of his cultural environment in Old Babylon. As we experience the, in quote, Merkabah today, being it's a psychological experience from within, I think Rambam makes it very clear in the beginning of the third section of the Moreh Nevuchim. It's seen today in a very different class of archetypal imagery. And again, that's part and parcel we teach here from a proper psychological foundation to help people recognize the inner reality of that which we talk about. So, well, I'm going to teach a meditative class. I am going to be teaching a meditation class, but you're going to see that's pretty much where we're going to be going with it. But moving on. What's the difference between Metatron and Metatron? Oh, it's a very good question from Carlos. Well, in certain literature, Metatron with a yud is referred to as the garment of the Shekhinah, wherein the angel Metatron is referred to as an angel. And just in case you're sitting there like I'm sitting there going, what does that mean anyway? All this is describing different subtle nuances of levels. And levels itself is a very, very controversial issue. In our Torah tradition, we refer, of course, to levels as Sefirot. And the Sefirot, which I think pretty much are originally introduced in the Sefer Yetzirah. Mind you, the Sefer Yetzirah is never really meant to be a Kabbalistic book. And the Sefirot as described in the Sefer Yetzirah are very, very, very different from as they're described in later Kabbalistic literature. I covered that in my Sefer Yetzirah course. Sefirot, we call them today divine manifestations of gods, the foundations of Kabbalah, and most of Orthodox Judaism embrace it as, the ultimate truth. Well, what can I say? There are other opinions. And with regards to opinions or not opinions, everybody can believe whatever you want. But when you do have meditative experience and you, shall I say, poke around and you see and experience, you find that a lot of the metaphysical ideas and beliefs that people hold sacred don't necessarily hold true. And that's when we reflect back to people like Rambam, and you see that they know a heck of a lot more than people give them credit for. Okay, 2 more questions and we're out of time. Is the modern criticism of the patriarchy a legitimate complaint due to the legitimate imbalance of energy, or is it a resurfacing of the matriarchal culture of old? Dave, it's actually both. Now remember the prophecy in Isaiah says that, in the days to come, a woman is going to rise up to the man's level. And the Kabbalah speaks about that as the full rectification of things. Because ultimately, to have a system where this is above and this is below and this rules and this is submissive, that's not the way it's meant to be. Whether this is the male or the female, or this is the female or the male, it's meant to be in harmony like this. Balance. All right? In our physical society today, men and women have roles whether you like it or not. That's just the way it is. Now, we don't have to embellish those roles in a servitudinal way. We're elevating society, in which we find hormonal balance. That's the way it's supposed to be anyway. So hopefully that's what we do. That's why today I find many of the students of our KosherTorah school to be women. I'm honored, that they come by, as long as things, done in the proper way, and come and study Torah. Again, that's why the Rabbanit is here. She's in training to become the rabbi, and indeed she will in a very short time to come. Don't be surprised if this year she doesn't start giving her own classes. Okay, next question, and let's see. What do you recommend to start the real path of real spirituality? What will it be for you the first step to discover ourselves? Victor asks. You want to know what that is? In the words of good old Willie Shakespeare, to thine own self be true. Find and discover what you as a human being truly are. Be an honest, moral, decent person, just like it says in the Bible. Read the Torah. Read what Hashem wants from you. Spirituality does not begin by looking up to God. It's looking out to your fellow human being. Religion is more about man than it's about God, and that's the way God always wants it to be, and that's the way it should be. Focus on what we call the mitzvot ben Adam lechavero, the mitzvot, the commandments of how we treat each other with proper decency and respect. We don't always agree with each other, but you don't have to. We respect one another. That's the important thing. Okay. Well, we're out of time, so I'm just going to take the last question. Starting tonight, 40 days of the special days of Zohar Kabbalah. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Tikunei Zohar. All righty, guys, let's call it a night. Hey, thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for being, with us and supporting our KosherTorah school and helping us, bring this message that we need to do. Get on our mailing list, see the offers that we have for you, and God be willing, I'll see you all in our next class. God be willing, coming soon. See you all soon. Shalom.